Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm Raghavan Mishra, and in today's video we are diving into one of the most important areas in software testing, which is API testing. So we are going to discuss about the definition, types, architecture, websites, tools for API testing and real world testing. Alright, API is important, very important in the era of AI and ML as well. Alright, so let us get started with a definition. What is an API? So as per the definition, you can see application programming interface. API is nothing but the application. The full form of API is application programming interface that allows two systems to communicate with each other. Alright, so how those two systems communicate to each other with the help of API. Alright, so let us understand the analogy of API first. So you can consider the example of a restaurant wherein the waiter can be treated as or can be called as API, right? So what it does, it will take the order from you. Okay, so you are going to place the order. So you are nothing but the client. Alright, so you are going to place the order to this guy, API, and API then further will send the request to server. Okay, and then the waiter will actually place the order to the kitchen, and then kitchen as a server, okay, will return the response. Okay, so it will return with the order to the client. So that is the analogy, restaurant analogy for the API. So here the waiter is an API. All right, coming back to the next slide. So why API matters? So all modern apps, okay, it actually powers all modern apps. Like API enables apps like Netflix, Uber, and Amazon, and so many others. Okay, other apps to fetch and deliver data in real time. All right, how so if you take the example of Netflix, right? So when you click play on Netflix, the app doesn't store every movie inside it. You got it, right? So API is very important here. It plays key role in Netflix and other apps also, right? So instead it uses, the Netflix doesn't store the movie, as I said. So instead it uses an API to fetch the video from Netflix server, okay, in real time. So without API, Netflix would just be a blank app with no movies at all, right, to show up to the user. Similarly, Uber also. So when you book a cab, Uber uses an API to check where drivers are located, live GPS data, traffic condition, estimated time of arrival. Okay, this is all possible only because API delivers a real-time data. All right, so Uber actually will actually communicate to the maps also, Google Maps. All right, to know the traffic details and all, right? So now similarly, we can talk about the integration also. Here the enable integration, Uber plus Google Maps and Paytm plus banks, right? So here API allows different system to connect and talk to each other seamlessly. Now in case of Google plus Uber plus Google Maps, so what is that combination? Why that integration is kind of very paramount? So Uber is a cab, right? So Uber is a cab booking app, and Google Maps is a navigation app. There are two different, systems. As I said, like in my previous slide, I said allows two systems to communicate. So here, Uber and Google Maps both are two different, server, different app, different system, right? So here, Uber doesn't build its own map from the scratch, right? So instead, it uses Google Maps API to show current location, nearby drivers, and route and traffic updates, right? And based on that, it actually decides like how much fare they're gonna be, okay, for the customer. All right, and where the customer has to be dropped, or from where he has to be picked up. Okay, so with the help of Google Maps, he actually Uber leverages Google Maps API here. All right. So similarly in the Paytm, okay. So the Paytm is a payment. This Paytm and the banks. Paytm is an payment wallet app. wallet app, and your money is actually be there in the banks. Okay, banks as in like SBI or SDFC, Citibank, or okay, ICICI Bank. So a Paytm app uses bank APIs now to check your current account balance, basically transfer money between accounts, so transaction history and all, right? So here API allows different system to connect. So this definition is very perfect. And so basically I have explained you like how those two APIs or those two apps communicate with each other using API. Now it is as I said, like essential skills for the tester and developers. So understanding API is critical for building, testing and automating today's software. Okay, now let us move on to the next and understand what is the type of, I mean like how many types of APIs are available in the market today. All right, so which we are actually leveraging in the software development and testing. So REST is very popular nowadays. REST and GraphQL. REST, so it is basically used in Twitter, Spotify like app, wherein all the communication is done, like request and response is actually sent and received in the form of JSON data. Okay, SOAP is popular in the banking apps and insurance app, wherein the request and response is received in the XML data. Okay, XML files. GraphQL, it is used in the flexible queries. In the Facebook and GitHub is basically using GraphQL, and gRPC is used by the Google and Netflix for the high performance. So these are basically the types of APIs. All right, let us move on to the next and understand what is the API architecture. So as I explained you in my previous slide, so here comes the client, and this client is nothing but the browser. Okay, your system is client, your client, and you are going to hit the server. Okay, so that request will not directly go to server. In fact, in the HTTP it can go to server directly with the help of HTTPS, but it will be always kind of without API. It will be like plain without security. I mean it will be like I mean very tedious and kind of very cumbersome and very heavy, and everything should be there in the same server, right? And the server should know like the plain request and what kind of request it is being received, it is receiving, and what kind of response it has to give it to the client, right? Now with the help of API, since REST is kind of representational state transfer protocol, and we call it as REST API. So what it does, basically so it is sending the request to the server using HTTP protocol, and get, post, delete, put are the kind of method, okay, associated with HTTP. And then here comes the logic, right? So in the API you will see the endpoints. So if I put /survey, so there will be a proper mechanism to look for the resources in the server with the survey. And if a survey is kind of some kind of a class, and which is expecting 1 2 3 kind of ID, okay, so I will be hitting the server with this particular endpoint, and I'm expecting server to give me the response for this 1 2 3, okay, the survey ID, or like this. So this is how this whole mechanism works. So I'm going to I'm going to hit the server, I'm going to request the server with the help of HTTP, and then my complete URL will be like will be formed with the help of endpoints. And of course I will be either sending, getting the resources, or I will be actually posting the resources. I will be trying to create or delete or update the resources in the server with the help of these methods, and these are the endpoints. All right, now whatever response I'm receiving, I will show it to the client. Okay, so there will be again parsing will be done. That logic will be there on the client side, and then this JSON response will be actually catered to the client. Okay, or you can directly see the JSON also. Moving on to the next architecture, basically this is the same architecture, okay, so but in detail and very neat and clean form. So here comes the consumer and client. I explained you the client, there you saw only one monitor or computer here, but this client can be your Android, iPhone users, okay, the desktop application, your Windows or web app these are your consumer. Okay, so consumer is nothing but the client, okay, who is consuming, who is going to consume the services provided by the server. Okay, so this is the HTTP request and response will be sent in the either the JSON or the XML. Okay, so in the REST, basically the message exchange format is JSON or XML. So here comes the REST API and the web server. Okay, so web server will be actually then communicating with the database, will get the response, and then HTTP APIs will send the response back to the client. Okay, so this whole this whole diagram or box is called service provider server. Okay, so this will be sitting inside the web server here. Okay, and then it will help server query database and get the response from the database or the data or record set, and then it will send back to the client in the form of JSON, as the message exchange format is JSON. Next, so this is the basically analogy, okay, a restaurant analogy, wherein we have defined the REST component and the explanation is here in the table. I'm going to share this particular slide with you in the video description, so you can probably take a look, but let us understand this quickly. All right, and then we'll move on to the real world examples, and we'll see how many sites are available for the API testing, and the few tools we will see how to quickly test the API. Okay, and I will also cover like these many slides I have prepared for you, so we'll go one by one and let us understand this quickly. And so this is the REST component. Consumer, your client, you are the client. Okay, it's consumer for the restaurant, so your customer will be the called as client, and this is the application. This is the application or device that want to get or send information. So in the diagram above, like whatever I have shown you, right, include Android, iPhone, desktop app, Windows are the client here. These are the client. Okay, now the service provider, kitchen staff, kitchen or chef. Okay, so these are the server. Okay, who is going to prepare your order. So this is the system that holds the information, process request, that it contains the web server and REST API. This is my server. This part is my server. So kitchen staff. So if you want to understand with the restaurant or kitchen analogy, so you can understand this as a server, REST API and web server. So kitchen staff and the chef, okay, who is going to prepare your order. So REST API is now the menu and the kitchen staff, and the waiter is your REST APIs. Application programming interface are the set of rules and instructions that define how the client can interact with the server, with the kitchen, and they are specific endpoints like menu items. So these are the menu items. So you are going to order maybe vada pav, pav bhaji, or dosa, all right, or North or South Indian or Chinese cuisine and all, right. So Italian, you want to order pizza. So those will be your endpoints. Okay, those menu items. Then the client can request. So the database, the pantry, basically whatever is available. So this is where the actual data is stored. The server interacts with it to fulfill request. You are going to order something, but if it is not available in the database, it will not be served. So 404 will be sent to the users. So like that only. So HTTP request the order basically. So if the order, a request sent from the client to the server, you are your client, so you are the consumer basically. So you are going to send the a request to the server. So typically using the HTTP, and that is hypertext transfer protocol, it is specified whether what the client want to do. Okay, so get, create, update, as I said, like there will be HTTP request in the form of get. Let me go back. So it specify what the client want to do: get, create, update, or delete the data, and what data it relates to. Okay, so HTTP response, same thing. Now you have ordered on the food. Now you will be getting the food as a response. So the server, who is the chef actually, so answer to the request, which can be then can be the requested data, a confirmation, or the error message. If it is not available, if it is not able to prepare that dish, it will send you the 404 or that error message. Okay, now the message exchange format. So the language of the order food, okay, the standard way of the information is packaged and understood by both the client and server. Common Formats are JSON, JavaScript object notation, and the XML extensible markup language. JSON is currently the most popular. All right. So your API should understand the language. So okay. So JSON application. Okay. So that message or request should be understood by the API and both client and server. Moving on to the next, website and real world examples. Okay. So here, before that, let us cover like website for the API testing. So these are the API, these are the browser based API tools. Okay. So you can, as I said, I will attach this slide with this video description. You can open up all these, URLs, which will help you, So let me just put one of such. Let me access this. So site 24/7 that requires sign up. Okay. Or I can go ahead and use this. So here, if you want to, just type something, and if you want to, just type Google, want to see like what it returns in the form of Google. It can be your get method, of course. So let us see if it gets something from the Google or not. So it is receiving, it is sending you the 200. Okay. And this is the response time. Okay, and this must the data it has sent when you hit the google.com. Headers, enrolled, redirects, everything is like that. So likewise, you can go ahead and play with all these web-based or browser-based API testing tools. Here comes the desktop tools based solution. So Postman is one of them, and the SOAP UI Ready API. So Postman is one of the most popular API platforms, supports manual and automated testing. Using Postman, you can also automate your API. Okay. Now SOAP UI and Ready API, widely used for the both REST and SOAP API, supports functional load testing. SOAPUI.org is the site. Okay, so you can open up this. You can open up this for the Postman. And then in Somnia, so desktop API client for designing, testing, mocking APIs, so is here. So URL is here. You can open up and play with it. I will cover these these tools in the next video. But as I promised, I will actually demonstrate you how you can automate, or how you can query or use your weather API testing, or maybe using this OpenWeather. Okay, so in a demo we'll see that quickly, and the automation part I will cover in my next video. Okay, so this is the demo and practice API to test agent. So JSON placeholder dot typecode.com, and the response is one of the most dummy API, REST API for testing user data and authentication, often used in tutorials. All right. Now here comes the OpenWeather API, and this is the endpoint. Let us quickly see like how it works. Okay, how we can actually interact and get the data from the real world APIs. Okay, so this part is kind of very, very important, and let us understand this from this demo. So let me just open this, and I'll show you. Open org. Okay, so here comes the openweathermap.org API, and this is my user. So you can just sign up and create the API in the weathermap.org. Okay, I have already created in the, you can see my profile. Okay, so I have already logged into this, and then SDET ADDA, and now here comes your API keys. Okay, so I've created this one already created the key. You can generate one for your uses. You can use either of the key is important, and the name is kind of for management purpose. Okay, it is not request. So app ID is your key data, I mean the API key. Okay, so I'm going to use this, and let us see whatever, I mean, I have had in this postman. I'm going to show it to you. Okay, so let me just go to this and open up this. So you might be wondering like what it is. So this is like site, and this is the data 2.5 weather API, and this lat is nothing but the latitude, and this is longitude of the city you want to see the weather data of. Okay, with the help of API key it is possible. So app ID is your API key. So let me just copy this and let me open the postman for you. So here comes the examples. Okay, now if you send something, it will not show you, it will show like unauthorized. Okay, so it will show the unauthorized code because it is invalidated, treating this as a invalid API key. So now you have to enter the API key which I have shown you, right? What is API key? So which you can generate one if you want. So let me generate test, and here comes the test. Okay, so app ID we have to provide the API key. You can provide any one of them, okay, to this postman, and that should work. So now I have provided the app ID, which is my API key. Now let me send the response request again to the server, and this will be the GET request. You can see the params, right? I have given this, and it is segregating all those longitude, latitude from here. So let us send this, and again it is giving me the invalid API key. Let me open this again and use the default, because it may take time or maybe some configuration is required. Okay, so let me try with this. I will. Okay, now it is default, but yeah, it is not giving me the right information. Just hold on. So nothing to worry. Basically, we were passing one extra, enter. So like this, okay, and you can now see. So there were some spaces and the enter key, okay, being passed. So if you see, like now it is returning the response for this particular, latitude and longitude, and with the API key. So if I may try with my API key, which I have created for the test, it should also work. Okay, let me pass this, and okay, this one is not working, and then the whole problem started. Okay, but it should also work. There is some limitation also, by the way. There is some limitation also. This one default is working fine. Okay, there is some limitation in, as in when I say like limitation, I mean like your open weather map API will provide you the free API keys, and if you are accessing for example multiple times, there is some restriction, there is some uses restriction. If you are hitting that API a million times, right, you have to pay for that API, right? So that is how. But here comes the response in the JSON, and now you can see whatever longitude and latitude which I have passed. 1 minute, I will show you like how it can be passed. Okay, so here comes the site lat and long. So you can pass the place like and your city, and then it will give you the latitude and longitude. Okay, so which you can include in your request. So this is the what I have basically it is actually asking you to log in if you are using this site for too long, or maybe you are hitting it too much. Okay, if you're typing Bhopal or Indore, right, so you are going to get one latitude and longitude for that city also. So now if I may change it a little bit. So it is going to give me the weather of Indore city. Okay, because here comes the latitude, longitude also. LON is for the longitude, and if I have to request this, okay, so it is going to send me the condition, weather condition of this particular city. You can see the city also, no, not a problem. You can see name Indore, okay, and the visibility is this, wind speed is this, okay. All these params are there in the JSON data. All the response is there in the JSON data, which you can further parse and show it to the client accordingly on your app. Okay, the cloudy, scattered clouds, okay, and the stations and all these. Okay, earlier I was using for the Bangalore. Okay, so that is how we can play with the APIs, and okay, using the proper API key, okay, which is nothing but this value which you may get in the particular service API provider. Okay, in our case OpenWeather map was the key provider for the weather data. Okay, so yeah, so let us come back to the slide and see what else. So JSON we have seen, like temperature, humidity, city name, everything was shown in the response. And now we have also covered like a status code 200. We have seen if it is not found, then 404 and 500. Response body we have seen, response time we have seen in the this one here in the postman. If anything is not covered, I will definitely cover in my next video, and when I will be automating all those API keys. I will also cover like post, put, delete, patch, and how to create the environment, how to automate all these request type properly in my next video, which I am going to prepare in the same channel. Upload in the same channel. I will also cover Postman, REST assured. Along with the Postman, I will cover the REST assured with the Java and PyTest, of course. And I will also show you like how to automate using the CI/CD using Jenkins and GitHub. Okay, so we will also cover like how to pass token based this one for the login, OAuth token and OAuth token 2 and all. Okay, so send a get request, website and demo recap we have seen, and we will also cover the handled. We have also seen like how to validate the status, which we have seen in the 200 and JSON field, like in the response. Beyond manual testing, as I mentioned, like I will cover in the next video. So this part, just stay tuned. So this is outro basically. So what we have learned basically here. So what an API is, API architecture we have seen, types of API, and we have seen like the sites for the API automation and API testing. We have seen OpenWeather API for the real world API testing. Okay, so that I will cover in more and more details and more depth. Okay, I will also cover like GraphQL, whatever API types we have seen in my types of APIs. I am going to cover each and every API types of API in my channel basically. In the playlist I'm going to upload on a weekly basis, so stay tuned. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please do subscribe and just hit a bell icon for the more updates on this channel. And so thanks for watching this video, and I will see you in the next video, and until then keep learning, and thanks for watching.